Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to today's video. We're doing CANSIPS Sunday. Today we're going to go 6 months ahead just for fun with the Canadian model app website tropicaltidbits.com. So as I always explain with these updates that we do with both the CANSIPS model and also the CFS V2 when we do the CFS 6 months look ahead as well. When you're looking 1 or 2 months ahead, okay, there is some merit in doing that, although maybe not taking just one model in isolation, but 1 or 2 months ahead, that's fine. But as we go sort of 3, 4, 5, 6 months ahead, the reliability collapses, of course. And it's well, it's just for fun. The charts are there. We might as well use them. So it's just a snapshot of what the model is seeing at the moment. This update is going to take us from March through to August. And when you see those charts for sort of May, June, July, August, don't necessarily be thinking that is how things are going to pan out for those months. It's not to be relied upon, but things are going to pan out as the model is predicting. But as I say, the charts are there. I know you do enjoy looking at these charts that go a long way ahead. So we'll have a look at them and see what they're showing for this month. Now, I explained, we're using the website tropicaltidbits.com. You can find the link to Tropical Tidbits on the links page. Thanks very much to them for allowing us to use their website and their information. There's not just the CANSIPS model at Tropical Tidbits. There's loads of other models as well. So you can certainly go there via the links page at GazzoViz and have a look at the charts for yourself. It's a fantastic website. So before I get on with the CANSIPS Sunday update, just want to say about the ads. There's links to articles on all the pages at GazzoViz. Have a browse through widgets and click through the links if there's any articles that you're interested in. Thanks very much for doing that. There's also video ads on those pages which open up the content when you watch them and close back up again. It is all helping to pay for our website. So I'm going to start off with the mean sea level pressure anomalies for the next 6 months, and then I'll have a look at the corresponding temperature and precipitation anomalies as well. If we have time, I'll have a look also at the sea surface temperature anomalies, see how the model is predicting El Nino to develop or to weaken. Really, it's peaked and it's weakening now, and we'll see where the model is predicting us to go after El Nino. Last month it was indicating the chance of flipping to La Nina as we get into the summer. Have a look and see whether that's been maintained for this update. So as I say, we're starting off with mean sea level pressure anomalies in March. Now, as you know, with these anomaly maps, red always or nearly always extrapolates to high pressure. There is one model, the Brazilian model, which is always different and flips it around, but except for that one, with these 500 millibar height anomaly or mean sea level pressure anomaly charts, it's always red to high pressure, blue to low pressure. So what the model is predicting is that we've got some ridging up to the north of the country as we go through into March, with a trough centred down to the south. On the face of it, that could be well, that could be quite a chilly looking chart actually. Keep in mind though, these are anomalies to average, so we might not necessarily be seeing a big area of high pressure sitting across Greenland and Iceland, just higher than normal pressure in that region, if you see what I mean. So the Azores High, for example, is still there to the southwest around the Azores, but it's in those blue colours, or pale blue colours. So what we're actually seeing, I think, here is that the Azores High is still there, but it's a little bit weaker than you would expect it to be compared to average. So these charts are always a little bit difficult to interpret, actually, but the basic idea is slightly higher than normal pressure to the north, slightly lower than normal pressure down to the south for March. Now, as we go through into April, this one looks like a very unsettled looking signal for April. Actually, we've got a trough of low pressure, anomalous trough sitting around the UK. That looks quite a deep trough, and still signs of some sort of ridging here to the south of Greenland, or at least higher than normal pressure to the south of Greenland. With the position of this trough, I think that could be opening the door to cold conditions. So I would say April, probably to average, is a colder looking month than March. We'll just have a look at temperatures in a moment. We go through to May, and what we see for May is a very unsettled looking signal here. Looks like we've got low pressure centred around Iceland to the south of Greenland, bringing the jet stream probably more or less through the country. So that could be a really unsettled month in May. I'm not sure it's all that cold. The flow is generally Atlantic driven, which in May is probably going to deliver a sort of average temperatures. Certainly would be particularly hot, I don't think, but probably average temperatures. But that does look a very unsettled signal as we're going through into May. Right, we're going through to the summer months now. We're going a very, very long way ahead, of course. This is a little bit difficult to interpret what's going on here, but I would say that for June, we're probably seeing a bit of a ridge through the central part of the Atlantic, but jet stream is probably doing something a bit like that. So although there's nothing overly dramatic going on, I think we're probably on the cool side of the jet there, and maybe even within an anomalous trough of low pressure, more particularly to the east, but possibly even for us ourselves, actually, as we're going through into June. So it's not an overly dramatic looking chart by any means, but I think it could be pretty grim, actually, once we have a look at potential precipitation anomalies. Will be interesting to see what's going on there. And it's the same sort of thing for July, really. There's no indication of anything especially settled, I don't think, going through into July. The jet stream again probably going something like that. July is better than June, I would think. The ridge from the Azores is extending in a little bit more, so it could be a drier month and probably a warmer month, but I don't think it's overly an overly hot signal. For that, you'd be wanting to see ridging centred to the south and the east of the country, and there's not a great deal of indication of that, but the colours are quite pale here, so it's a little bit difficult to interpret. And then we go through to August, and this looks pretty grim for August as well. This is 6 months away though, so it's just for fun, and don't be too alarmed by this. But August is indicating quite an anomalous area of low pressure to be developing to the north and bringing the jet stream more or less through the country, a bit like that. So that could be a very unsettled looking signal for August. Out of the three summer months, that's probably the worst one. The other two aren't that exciting, don't get me wrong, but August looks pretty grim there, I think, on those sea level pressure anomalies. So that's how they're looking. Let's see how the temperatures stack up with this. So I'm going to start off with the temperature anomalies for March. Well, temperature anomalies in March coming out a little bit above average, so it's not too bad actually. Notice how cold it is though across most of Europe and back into Russia. Very cold month coming up for them. But for us, we're actually in those pale sort of beige or lemon colours. So it's just a little bit milder than average in March. Now, I thought April could be a colder signal. So what's it showing for April? And actually, no, the signal for April is milder than average as well. So this is a flip on what we saw last month. Last month, it's going for quite a coldish April, not so this month. So despite those sea level pressure anomalies, which I thought did look fairly cool for April, actually the temperature anomaly comes out generally milder than average. It's a greater average than March even as we go through to April. So quite a warmish sort of month being signalled there for April. Milder than average temperatures, or near normal to a bit milder than average as we go through into May. So quite a mild spring being indicated here by the CANSIPS model. So a bit milder than average in May, and that's okay. We've got the westerlies coming through the country, so it's not going to be overly cold, but probably not overly hot either, but a little bit milder than average signal for May. We get through into June, and I did say June looked a bit grim. We've got a ridge out to the west, and we're probably extending a trough through the country. So for June, it's 4 months away, so don't worry really, but for June we are seeing our first colder than average month of the year. So all this warm through the winter and spring, and then we get through to the summer when you want it to be warm, and wouldn't you know it, the model is indicating our first colder than average month of 2016. Most of Europe looking pretty chilly there as well. We go into July. It's not as cool a month in July, but even so, nothing to write home about, with near normal temperatures being signalled in July. And then into August, this is when I thought looked most unsettled actually out of all the months. Actually, August is a little bit milder than average, particularly so for the north, but generally it's near normal there really. So what model is seeing is a quarter of an average June, and then July and August coming out with near normal temperature. So that's how the temperatures are looking from the CANSIPS model. Let's have a look at precipitation next. So we've got the precipitation for March. Now this is quite interesting because it's going for drier than average month in March to the north and west, particularly around Iceland, and wetter than average down to the south. Now you would look at that and really I think you would be assuming there's ridging to the north and a trough down to the south, which you will think should be opening the door to northerly and easterly influences. So I'm not quite sure what's going on there, to be honest, but in any case the signal for us is for near normal precipitation in March, with the wettest conditions to the south and the driest conditions up to the north. April is looking wetter than average in those green colours there, so pretty wet month coming up in April. Again, you would think there's probably some sort of a ridge around here and a trough centred more or less over the top of the country. So again, you would think that should be a fairly coolish month really, with cool winds from the north being entrenched into that trough of low pressure. We get into May, and this is also looking unsettled, so quite a wet spring coming up if this is right, with average to above average precipitation there through most parts of the country. June looks a bit drier than average, so although June is quite a cool month, actually the rainfall is a little bit better. And what's going on there is that the jet stream is doing something a bit like that. So we'll probably bring down a northwesterly flow in June. It's a cool month, but not overly wet. July comes out near normal, although it is trending a bit wetter compared to June. So although the temperatures lift up a little bit in July, it's probably slightly more unsettled. And then we go through to August. Remember, 6 months away just for fun. But August comes out a bit wetter than average, and it makes sense really, because I think we're strengthening the jet stream and moving it right through the country, so a pretty grim month potentially as we get through into August. Finally, let's have a look and see how Molly is predicting ENSO to trend as we come out of El Nino. So this is the signature for El Nino through the equatorial part of the Pacific Ocean. Just here, this big massive red, it's still there in March, so we'll still have El Nino going on, albeit a weakening El Nino in March. Let's see how things trend as we go through to April. Well, a dramatic weakening takes place from March to April. There's the scenario in March, but by April, very dramatic weakening taking place. And look at this, by the time we get through to May, we're already beginning to see just a little bit of blue starting to appear there. That is a flip beginning to take place from El Nino to La Nina, and by June that really is strengthening. That is a signature for La Nina to be really intensifying. Remember, the temperature signal is along the side here, so the scale is on the side. You can see, but even by June we're starting to see quite a strong La Nina beginning to get going, with temperature anomalies going under a degree below average. So quite a La Nina already getting going in June, and that just intensifies through July into August. By August we've got a very strong La Nina event taking place. It's a central base La Nina. Don't ask me what that means, but I'll have to do some research on that. But in any case, it's a central base and strong La Nina that is well and truly in place by the time we get through to August. That's a big flip from March through to August. I just run you through further on to show you how that develops through the rest of the autumn. Is September, this is October, this is November, and this is December to the end of the year, by which time all regions of the equatorial Pacific are in strong and mature La Nina type condition. So a big flip taking place there with the CANSIPS model through this year. It's continues what we saw last month, which is a trend to go from El Nino into La Nina through particularly the latter spring and into the summer. As I explained in an update that I did last month, if you haven't seen it yet, do check it out. I did an update last month explaining that these years that flip from El Nino to La Nina rapidly through the summer tend to be pretty grim summers. And the CANSIPS model, very early days, of course, it's 4, 5, 6 months away, but the CANSIPS model is certainly not indicating a particularly inspiring summer there. So let's wait and see how things go. Of course, this La Nina might not come off, the model might have it wrong, and we just go back to ENSO neutral, in which case it means a much better summer, potentially. So that's how it's looking for this month. Anyway, we'll do the next CANSIPS updates, next CANSIPS Sunday next month. Later on this month, there'll also be the CFS 6 months look ahead, so that can be quite interesting to see that. And remember, all the things that you've seen in this video are just for fun, not to be relied upon. So that's all for now, and thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Bye for now.